The science-based crew have pissed me off. Just because something isn't needed doesn't mean that it's not useful. 3 ideas for you: traffic lights, your organs, and the squeeze. Welcome to Fitness and Thinking, a podcast interested in 6 pillars of wellness: the physical, mental, social, spiritual, emotional, and financial states of being. Sat on a terrace in Guanajuato, a beautiful Mexican city, in both the daytime and the night, which earlier today was 6 degrees as I sat on a Spanish lesson, and as we record this is about 22 degrees, having been 26 earlier in the day. Perfect temperatures for me in both directions. I had my hat and my gloves on, now I've got my t-shirt and shorts on. I'm a very happy boy, but I'm irritated. I'm irked by the science-based community, namely content creators like Jeff Nippard, Dr. Mike, Milo Wolf, people who have for the past 2 years or so pushed into their content the notion that the stretch of a movement, if we think of a bicep curl, this being the stretch, is more important than the squeeze when it comes to building muscle. And what they talk about is this growing trend in the data, in the research, that shows that you could get similar gains, if not more gains, from really focusing on the stretch aspect and maybe not even squeezing as much, not even bringing the weight up as high as you'd think to do it to get the same or better results. Now, if you're up to date with my newsletters, you'll have seen that I've started to pull at this idea. I honestly don't want to give the names I've mentioned too much more time, because I put years into them. I put years into their ideas, and all of them have done things that have just pissed me off as people that I don't stand by. I wouldn't want it in my friends, I wouldn't want it in my peers. I've stopped following them. I just can't be bothered with the beef, with the public face, and being dicks off camera, as it seems, across different YouTube channels. And if you want to look that beef up, it is entertaining for what it's worth, but I'm done with it. I'm done with false prophets, people with millions of subscribers who are just maybe not actually great people. And it's sad, because I bought from these people. I've put money into programs and been frustrated by the programs actually, but thought, no, they've got the experience, they've got the degrees, and the PhD from one certain doctor online has been completely torn apart. Like, it's nonsense. It's not peer reviewed, it's not accredited, and actually it's just not that good to read. And yet this person is making millions from believers in his title and his supposed academic rigor and research. And it's just tough, man, you know, because I know how hard it is to get a degree. If you're privileged enough to go to university, it is still difficult to study for a thing and to get certain grades and pass, or at least it was for me and the people that I know. And then to go and do a master's, it's a next level, it's another layer of rigor and research. And I went from an arts degree to a science degree, and I had to learn stats and look at things like p-values and power and significance, and how people tear into the way that I set my research up. And yet some of the people that you're looking at online haven't even done that. And the people who are flaunting their qualifications maybe even haven't got their PhD, or if they have, it's nonsense. It's built on sand. Where we're up to, just because something isn't needed doesn't mean that it's not useful. I think this is the point that I want to stick with. 3 ideas for you: traffic lights, your organs, and the squeeze. Traffic lights. When I was in Oaxaca for Day of the Dead, our taxi driver taking us home was blasting some 80s synth pop, and he had some great Spanglish for us, as nearly always seems to be the case. Chat kind of went towards dancing and singing and women and yada yada yada. What none of us were expecting though was our driver to go straight through a red light, and then 2 more. Now on the 3rd light we did get a beep from somewhere, and I think actually it was from another car going through a red light. Clearly, I'm talking to you now, the traffic lights weren't needed for us to get home. Helpful though in ensuring that other people stopped when they needed to stop. Yeah, just because our guy didn't follow the rules, nearly everybody else did. And I'm here to tell this small story. Your organs for 2. Yes, you can live without one of your kidneys. In theory, you could live without both of them. Yes, you can live without your appendix. How many people do you know who've had appendicitis, had it taken out, and then kept on living? But part of me would be careful of rushing to the conclusion that life is better as a result of those things being taken out. Now, if they're not working, of course, we can live without those things, and maybe quality of life is improved when you don't have malfunctioning equipment inside you. But what if the appendix had a positive function? What if it housed helpful bacteria? What if it had a role in digestion that we're just learning about through actually studying it? I am not a doctor. I'm not in the best position to talk about this. But from the things that I read, I understand that maybe, despite what pop science has said, for all of the 30 years that I've been aware of the appendix as a thing, it does serve a purpose. And life is better for having it than not. With your kidneys, sure, from what I understand, a singular kidney could hypertrophy, it could grow like a muscle and become better at the role of filtration and ensuring that all of this ticks over. But in some people, that might not be the case, and one kidney could hamper their functionality. And actually, if you're pregnant or you have other conditions that are impacted specifically by the kidneys, then you'd have to think that 2 is better than 1. Number 3, as the dogs of Guanajuato kick off, the stretch is more important than the squeeze. You don't need to do the squeeze to get the same results or better. The stretch is important. The stretch is important because actually if you spend time in the stretch, you could grow a muscle more than if you just squeezed. I'm fine with that. I also think the benefit of the stretch is the control. So if you're bringing a big weight up and then slowly lowering it down, maybe with that control there's less injury risk. Cool. I also think that there's more flexibility gains to be had than we necessarily think about or talk about. If you can actively encourage your muscles through their range of motion, then maybe over time you have less pain, you have greater range of motion, you have greater mobility, flexibility. Just stretching muscles, from what I understand, could lead to them becoming bigger. Now, that's not going to be the same as if you pick weights up and put them down again. We know that body weight movements don't typically grow muscle as quickly as weighted movements. You know, when you see people doing 30 reps of abs, if they trained them more like they did other muscles, so maybe 2 sets of 6 to 10 hard reps, really squeezing, really stretching, that could lead to more muscle growth and maybe more flexibility, mobility, and performance over time. Like, we know this generally ad hoc in pop lifting culture. But the squeeze, man, what do we get into bodybuilding for? To tone up, to feel stronger, to look bigger, to impress other people, to have our shirt sleeves tight with the muscles underneath. Now, I actually wear baggy t-shirts because I like the way they hang. But when I wear a gym top, the way that it wraps around my biceps and I've got a bit of a pump, sure, I enjoy that. The thing is, when you start lifting weights and you start connecting with your muscles in your body, I would guess, I'm just going to guess, I'm not going to say that this is cited, this is science-backed and peer-reviewed. It's not. I'm going to guess based on my experience, my clients, and maybe yours, that feeling of a squeeze, of your muscles scrunching up and contracting, is one that sticks with you. You really feel that. And I think you really feel that more than you necessarily think about that same muscle stretching out. You know? That feels away. That almost just feels like relaxing and going back to homeostasis, to a relaxed state relatively. It's really easy to go down. How challenging is it to go up and give it everything you got and squeeze as hard as you can? And I think that's the bit that's been missed, is that in this research you could get the same gains or more actually hasn't been shown. And in some studies, the names that I've mentioned earlier, I've said, look, maybe you're not getting more gains, but you're not getting less gains for putting less work in. And yet, to my mind, if you've done 2/3 of the rep and you're capable of doing 1/3 to finish it, why not just do that third? Why not just get that squeeze, that bit that we can all relate to of a muscle working hard? I want to base this on experience. I want to base this on feeling. I want to base this on common sense. The stretch is important, clearly it is, but I think the squeeze is being underrated. The squeeze is the fun bit. That feeling of a pump, of your muscles being full and contracted, is, for me, so enjoyable. Seeing people like Arnie grow their muscles and talk about the pump, that got me into bodybuilding. And then when I felt it, I was hooked. It wasn't the stretch. The stretch is nice. And when you get better at lifting weights, okay, cool, maybe you do get more from the stretch and you can feel the difference that hanging out, particularly I think with things like pull downs and pull ups, can make as your spine kind of lengthens and all of these muscles that were contracted let go. Like, what a great feeling. But it's not hanging from a bar that makes me think that I'm strong or I'm capable or that I've lifted more than I've done before. It's always a squeeze, whether in my biceps, my quads, my hamstrings, calves, whatever. I don't want people to miss the point. Science-based is good. If we can reduce injuries, if we can get more from less, amazing. But if it sounds too good to be true, it probably is. And all of these people that for years said that we could get more from less had to say at the start of this year, actually, our studies don't show that. And yet they released a video every time a study came out that was selling a program or selling a membership or selling you something based on an idea that didn't actually have any backing. Whether en masse, so to speak, from hundreds of thousands of millions of people who've actually felt the thing and seen change over time, or from the science. If you enjoy lifting weights, lift weights. If you're trying to get bigger and stronger, squeeze the muscle and stretch the muscle, having warmed it up properly. If it feels good to you to change it or vary it in some way, and maybe over time you can track change, great, be a scientist on yourself. It's amazing what you can learn about your body when you actually apply yourself to it, to learning about it, to tracking changes, your weight, measurements, how your diet changes, how your sleep changes, maybe how your taste for things changes. It might be that your gym playlist is completely different based on or correlated with, let's say correlated with your size, your ability. As I got better at running, I stopped listening to music altogether, for instance. This is all a big mess and nobody really knows what's going on. We have science to say that this is likely to be happening, and science should say when it gets it wrong, when things need to be updated based on building bodies. Man, let's just come back to that. You're in your body, and hopefully if you're watching this, you made it this far through, you're trying to grow it. Do what makes sense for you and apply what you think sounds interesting, but don't put all of your eggs in a science-based basket or a Roid Boys basket. You've got to make sure that there's something there for you, and that as you learn, as you train, as you become hopefully better at what you do, you are able to bring together everything that works. When people are dogmatic about things, when they say that this is more important than this, and maybe don't actually have any support for that other than the other people in their group, pinch of salt. That's it. Even me saying this, do with it what you will, but my experience over the 4 years now that I've had of coaching and over the decade or so I've had of training is that movement is the thing, and trying to make it slightly harder every time you do it can often lead to gains over time. If you want to spend time with me as a coach, you know I'm always game for a chat, and we'll have hopefully availability from December going into the new year. But what I'm more interested in is finding the ideas and the people who don't chat shit to get coins from your pocket. Hopefully, I can be on the right side of that. I don't live long enough to see myself become the villain. I hope that you keep me accountable to that as much as I do. All right. Just using the kit that you see here, wherever I am in the world, it is a treat to put these episodes together. If you've enjoyed them, if you have found yourself watching multiple of them, then I've got a favour to ask of you. And it's not your money. It is just a second to like what you like. Maybe a couple of seconds to leave a comment on what you enjoyed, what you changed, what you might have asked the guests, and maybe to ask me to bring on somebody or to discuss a topic that you're interested in. The last thing is to subscribe if you haven't already. Most people will watch an episode, maybe watch a couple in a row, but not subscribe. And yet that could be a massive sign to all those algorithms that you are interested in what fitness and thinking is all about. So that's it. You don't need to send any money my way. I'm not asking for a cent or penny or peso from you. It is just to let me know that what we're doing is worthwhile.